John Oliver body slamming Bari Weiss over takeover of CBS News. She's spent years putting out work that is at best irresponsible and at worst deeply misleading. John Oliver goes pretty hard in this. She's been given editorial control of a massive news organization, even though she's never run a TV network, has no experience directing television coverage, and as one 60 Minutes producer pointed out, is not even a reporter. That is true. She didn't come up through the news side of a newspaper, but through the opinion pages, which are a very different thing. Oliver then dissected her publication, The Free Press, which she said enforces a pronounced theme that the left has gone too far. Basically, whatever issue you feel that is true for Israel, campus, politics, DEI, or police reform, you'll find articles there to reinforce your opinion, he said. And look, I'm not saying the left never goes too far or that it's immune from criticism at all, but it can sometimes feel like the Free Press conclusions can get ahead of itself and ahead of its evidence, which brings us to the fact that some of its pieces can be poorly fact-checked and in ways that feel important, though Oliver said that there are many opinion-heavy outlets out there, of which Last Week Tonight is one of. He acknowledged that his show is not the news. And I think right here where he brings this up, poorly fact-checked, that's probably the drop site news breaking points controversy that they just went through that John Oliver is referencing right there in what is a subtle shout out to breaking points and drop sites. So shout out to them as well.
Yeah. Shout out to John Oliver, one of the last real ones left. Like, it's funny that they try to go after like fucking Jimmy Kimmel and shit when the people like John Oliver is like way more specific and on point with his criticism. Like Kimmel just kind of dabbles in that like vague, like anti-Trump sort of like shit, which is fine. Like I don't mind Kimmel, but John Oliver is way more hard hitting in my opinion and substantive, honestly. Like I've actually learned I remember watching some John Oliver segments that I thought were damn well researched. Not that I always agreed with him, but I was like, you know what, this is actually a well produced show that you actually like come away with, having learned something, which is nice. And it's just, like I said, really well produced. So I appreciate him coming out when it comes to that and speaking out. And speaking of, I wanted to put this on screen too, because it's as much as it sucks that Bari Weiss is taking over CBS. I'm interested in like, is it actually like, how long is this actually going to fucking last? Is it actually going to be as successful as they're hoping that it is? Because as you can see here, it doesn't look like many people are tuning in. Bari Weiss's first pitch at CBS, a roundtable with Anthony Blinken, Mike Pompeo, and Hillary Clinton that ended up being a virtual interview with Clinton and Condoleezza Rice, had about 150 viewers on YouTube, added with a 24-hour or 24/7 CBS stream. That's just over 1,200 viewers. So
that's less people than we have right now watching.
Yeah, literally. So again, it's like you can try to force this on the people. Obviously, there's some amount of the population that's just going to have like CBS on in their fucking like living room or be stuck in a doctor's office where they're being subjected to it or whatever. But I don't know if it's actually going to end up being as like influential as, say, the takeover of TikTok, which I am more scared about. A lot of people do just believe what the fuck the algorithm serves up to them, whereas less people are actually going to CBS. It's not even like MSNBC or CNN, like CBS. Who fucking gives a shit? So it is horrifying and deeply fucked up. But I am hoping that this is, what fate it will ultimately meet. It's just irrelevance.
Yeah, for sure. I think that what's scary about it is the fact that it's clearly like an I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine situation between Larry Ellison and Donald Trump. And that's another thing that we can shout out John Oliver for, is the fact that he has been 100% on the money calling out the fascist instincts of Donald Trump. I watched him do an entire video that unfortunately we can't react to because it's on HBO. But he basically, the day after Jimmy Kimmel's cancellation, he was out there being like, fuck you, Donald Trump. Like, I dare you to come for me. Like, if you think you can do that to Jimmy Kimmel, why don't you go ahead and do that to me? Because I'll fucking own you. Like, I'm not afraid of you at all. And it wasn't just a headline grabber. Here's another article from 4 months ago. John Oliver to the press: don't comply with Trump's ridiculous demands. Last Week Tonight host warned about the president's attacks on the media and the growth of authoritarianism. This is a guy who has been on the ball. He's saying it's clear as day to anybody in media who's paying attention to this. Donald Trump is putting his thumb on the scale in a way no president ever has. He is manipulating the media. He is using his monopolistic powers of the president, right? His executive order, I guess I should call it, right, to oversee the monopolization of the media, right? To see less free press, ironically, as Bari Weiss's free press is promoted.
Yeah, 100%. So shout out to John Oliver. Like I said, one of the best of his ilk, if not the best. To be totally honest, I guess it's between him and Jon Stewart. You know, I love Jon Stewart probably even more, but John Oliver, like I said, is genuinely substantive. I've learned a lot from watching his show. Like back in high school and shit. Like I remember watching a lot of John Oliver back when I was still kind of like figuring out like what everything meant and like, you know, what Medicare for all. Like, you know, he helped explain some of these concepts. And I remember he also did legendary takedown of Alex Jones, where he bought a bunch of his stupid bullshit nutraceutical products, you know, all the supplements and crap, and like talked about how dumb they were. So
he's done a lot of good work. He even debunked a bunch of bullshit about Venezuela, which I think will be more and more important as Donald Trump tries to do regime change there. I remember when I was in high school, actually, Jon Stewart left The Daily Show for a long time to go film that movie Rosewater, which nobody cared about and I never saw. But for a long time, it was John Oliver filling in for him on The Daily Show during that time. Every single night, it was John Oliver. And at the time, I remember being a little annoyed. I was like, come on, why is it this fucking British guy? I wanted to be Jon Stewart because I was a real loyal Jon Stewart fan. But as I've gotten older, I realized just how tremendous John Oliver is. And I think he could have only come up through the ranks of one show, and that's The Daily Show. It's really evident when you look at his comedy. And now I think he probably is the shining example. I think he really is at the top of his game in a way that Jon Stewart is, you know, in a little bit of a victory lap mode as he's at a more advanced stage in his career.
Yeah, totally.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. The Vanguard will be there.